Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of the Coach's Corner. Before I move any further, if you have not done so, can you please subscribe to my channel? And if you like this video, please be sure to hit like. If you'd like to know more information about this week's topic, you can check out my blog at xjonespennies.blogspot.com. And if you're interested in contacting me, you can via my website at xjonesconsulting.weebly.com. Now, this week's episode of the Coach's Corner is actually part of a series which was inspired by a former classmate / friend of mine, Barbara. So shout out to you, Barbara. This is what you've been waiting for. When we took a class about how the brain works and how the brain learns. And so a lot of the information that I'm going to give you during this series can actually be found in the text, How the Brain Learns. If you would like the link to how to purchase that text, you can if you check out my blog. I do have a link there. So this week we're actually going to talk about retention. So we've all been in that situation where we've been talking to a colleague and we're just like, you know what, yesterday I taught this new thing, and then today I came in and I said, okay guys, quickly, what did we talk about yesterday? And crickets. No one remember what we talked about yesterday. So I'm just going to talk about how the brain retains information, and hopefully you'll be able to take some of these tips to your classroom to restructure some things so that your students are better able to retain new information that you are teaching. Now, the first thing, the brain retains information in this way, in this method. So whatever the brain gets first is what the brain remembers. And then second, things that happen toward the end of a cycle, the brain kind of remembers. And anything that happens in the middle of a cycle, the brain is kind of hazy, may or may not remember. So we need to think about how a typical class is structured. So I have here, next to me here, how a typical class may be structured if this was a 40-minute class. So you may spend 5 minutes as doing some sort of a warm-up, and that's when you take attendance or you do any of the other housekeeping things you have to get handled in that first few minutes of the day. And then you may spend 5 minutes going over objectives, maybe more housekeeping, announcements, things that have to be said. And then after that, maybe another 15 minutes or so where you're lecturing or you're doing an I do, where you're showing kids how to do the new tasks that they're learning. And then you'll give them maybe another 10 minutes or so to practice, and then a quick 5-minute exit ticket, and that is your day. So if you're really looking at that structure, the time where students are really going to retain new information is during the time where you were giving them a warm-up and taking attendance and going over housekeeping. So what you really need to do is restructure everything. If you give your students in the first maybe 10 minutes of class all of their new information, and then let's say in the next 5 minutes of class, you'll let them practice that, use that time to take your attendance and do any other housekeeping things you have to do. And then you give them another 5 minutes where you revisit. So something that you would normally give as an exit ticket, you go ahead and you revisit that. Now, another thing, you've noticed that was a 40-minute overview that I just gave you in 20 minutes. When you want students to really retain something, you should also give them things in short spurts. So if you have a 40-minute class period, giving them 2 20-minute sessions will be much more powerful than just giving them 40 minutes of class. So just like I said, after that first cycle, 10 minutes, new information, 5 or so minutes of practice, another 5 minutes where you can do the same skills that you were doing an exit ticket, you repeat it. It's going to be more likely that your students are going to remember the information in the latter explanation as opposed to the first explanation where you just went through everything you need to cover in class. So just as a quick recap for how the brain retains information, the first thing that you learn is going to be the things that you remember. The last thing that you learn, you're going to kind of remember. And then the things that happen in the middle, it gets a bit hazy. So you need to avoid making sure that all of your instruction happens in the middle of your class period. You need to make sure you jump right in the beginning, give them a quick 10 minutes of something, give them a quick 5 minutes of practice, and then another 5 minutes where they can review something that you do in an exit ticket, and then repeat. This is going to be the most impactful and powerful for your students. Well, that is the end of this week's Coach's Corner. I hope you found that very helpful. Again, if you like this video, please be sure to click like. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to my channel. And if you would like to know more information about this week's topic, you can definitely find that on my blog at xjonespennies.blogspot.com. And if you're interested in contacting me, you can contact me via my website at xjonesconsulting.weebly.com. Have a great rest of the week.